Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Gabby, and today's little video episode or whatever is going to be about breaking a victim mentality. I feel like so often there is such a fine line between being so harsh on yourself and, trying to achieve everything that you want and genuinely being set back by life. And then there's the situations where we ourselves hold ourselves back from what the truest potential that we could achieve. And part of holding yourself back, you being your own worst enemy, is by having a victim mentality. Now, number one, what exactly is a victim mentality? Well, a victim mentality is a very self-centered, selfish view. Now, when you think victim, you don't think selfish, right? But when you have a victim mentality, you are glorifying, you are putting all your needs at the center of the universe. You think that all your problems, everything that you're going through, the world revolves around it. The world revolves around your problems when you're in a victim mindset. So for example, let's say you're walking down a street, right? You go to cross the crosswalk and someone comes out of nowhere and they almost run you over and you're like, what the actual, stream of every name in the book that comes after. But it is in that mindset. Different mindsets come apart from there, right? You have the victim mentality mindset where someone would sit there and look at the car and be like, why did you do this? It's like asking a snake, why did you bite me? And chasing it and asking it, why did you bite me? Why did you hurt me? Why did you do this? But at the end of the day, you don't know why. Who knows? That person who came in and ran you over, I'm not saying this is justified in any way, but you don't know what they were going through. You don't know if they're partially deaf, partially blind, and genuinely couldn't see you or hear you. You don't know if they had a really rough day at work and they're speeding home. You don't know if there's an emergency and they're trying to get to the point of emergency at the fastest way possible. You don't know. So the person with the victim mentality is going to go around that entire day blaming everything on that one incident. Well, because that person ran me over, I'm late and my day's ruined. I can't do anything else. I was supposed to do this, and that, and now I can't do that. They limit themselves immediately. If they just rescheduled their time and was proactive and, adjusted their schedule accordingly, they could be able to do all that. But when you have a victim mentality, you build the cage for yourself to live in. It's not like someone else took the cage. They might have given you the bars to build the cage, but you built the cage yourself and you kept yourself in it. And a victim mentality not only spews out just small insecurities in your life, they snowpile into something greater. They snowpile into this massive avalanche that eventually goes out of control. Neurologically, you're imbalanced. Physically, you feel incompetent. Mentally, you're spiraling. And a victim mentality is the source of all of this. So, how exactly do we break that? Number one is recognizing it. So in the previous examples that I gave, what is your outlook on life? Do you consider your thoughts more positive or negative? Now, we humans, we think a lot. Now, scientifically, women a bit more than men, I'm sorry. But on a biological scientific basis, humans are consumed by thoughts every passing second of the day. We make so many unconscious decisions. What are we going to wear? When are we going to wake up? What are we going to do? What do we drink for the morning? Do we have our morning coffee, a latte, our iced matcha? What do we do? From the get-go, we are bombarded with a million questions and thoughts on those. Ooh, what do you think of that person wearing? Oh, that's a pretty color. Oh, I can't believe that person smiled at me like that. Why did they look at me like that? There are so many different thoughts if that illustrates it, right? But it's time for us to step back and take it from a third person view. And this is a great technique for kind of approaching any situation in life is genuinely remove yourself from the situation. Pretend, and this is what I love about romanticizing life, is pretend you're like a narrator. You're narrating the life. You know, with the nice cool British accent where they'll be like, hello, well, today we see the zebras and the antelopes in their dens, and they're chasing the grass. I don't know where I came up with that, but imagine that, right? Take a step back and be the narrator of your life. What do you observe? What patterns do you observe? And the most important patterns to observe are when you wake up, even a little bit in the middle of the day, and when you go to bed. What thoughts are plaguing your mind? And categorize them. Write them down if you need to. Talk about it. Journal. What category do those thoughts generally fall into? Are they very positive? Do you take a very positive, optimistic outlook on life? Oh, look, when I wake up first thing in the morning, I think, and I rewired my brain to do so, to immediately look outside. The sun is beautiful, and scientifically there is research backed behind like looking at the sun and just genuinely having a good source of vitamin D first thing in the morning. Very good for you neurologically. Side note, what do you look at first thing in the morning? Do you plague yourself with your phone? That's another huge thing so many people struggle with, is doom scrolling or immediately waking up to go to your phone. There are countless research articles out there pointing towards putting your phone away from you when you sleep, because that way when you wake up first thing in the morning, you are not going on your phone. One of the worst things you can do if you want to break out of a negative mindset is getting off your phone, especially first thing in the morning, because that is when your mind is in its most relaxed, vulnerable state. It takes in information at the quickest, it absorbs it the best. And when you feed your mind and you pollute it with the negativity of social media, texting, just overall doom scrolling, video after video, that's not going to help you. So step 1 and kind of 2, observe and categorize. Positive versus negative. So now that you've kind of recognized where your thoughts genuinely lie, other couple symptoms I'm going to briefly go over with recognizing the fact that you have a victim mentality is asking yourself why and constantly mulling over the same situation over and over again, like beating a dead horse. And I know I definitely had these tendencies, and I'm still working with them and I'm improving with them. So don't think I'm coming from some insane high power, like, oh, look at this 19-year-old midget girl who thinks she's better than everyone. I'm not. I'm working through it with you. I'm just sharing the advice that I've learned. And lastly, and if you have a victim mentality, you tend to not really think highly of yourself, right? So given all those symptoms and given the general observations you can make about yourself and categorizing that, like how do you see yourself, perspective about yourself, next we move into actually breaking the victim mentality. So you've looked back at this and you've analyzed all your symptoms. You may tend to think negatively. You may tend to think poorly of yourself. You may tend to beat a dead horse until it's even more dead. Like you just continuously beat it, right? And I'm not going to speak this as a prophecy over you. This is just examples, but you've recognized these traits. Now what do we do about it? First things first is start small. How do you eat as my father would say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So in order to break these habits that you've seen in yourself, start small. Small, achievable goals. Every day, every week, and every month. What I tend to do is journal. And I recommend journaling to anybody. Everyone should be able to journal and express their thoughts. But if you don't like writing, voice notes. If you don't like that, If you're more of a physical activity person, go for a walk and rehearse these in your head, right? You can't go about this life not having a purpose. You can't wake up and not want to do anything with your life. I mean, seriously, why are we on this earth? Seriously, why are we on this earth if we aren't living with a purpose? It defeats the purpose, right? So part of building our purpose, part of combating any negative thoughts, is filling them with positivity. And one of the biggest ways to fill yourself with positivity is having hope. Hope in a future. Hope in your goals. And the more smaller goals you start achieving, the more dopamine that's set out, right? The dopamine receptors, they receive the information that you achieve this. So it sends out all this dopamine, you start getting happy. And more goals you set for yourself and more small things that you achieve, the more confident you're going to get in yourself. So the once negative version of you that didn't view yourself as even being worthy, that didn't view yourself as having a purpose, now the flip gets script. Now the script gets flipped. Anyways, so yes, small achievable goals. One goal I'd like to recommend is waking up and having breakfast. And this seems so small, but this is such a struggle for over 50% of Americans, and I'm ballparking it, but for such a major amount of society, we tend to skip breakfast, right? And especially for women, there's science behind eating breakfast. It helps balance your cortisol levels. It helps send, and I don't know the exact science behind it, but it helps send good hormones throughout your body, stabilizing your body's temperature, hormones, overall stress, and it helps regulate your body and gets it ready and prepared for the day. You give it energy to start the day. Because once you feed yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, at the beginning of the day, you have enough energy to not only pour into yourself, but pour into others, right? So when you start small with something even as little as breakfast, you give yourself the energy to pour into others. And when you pour into others, and I'm going to get into this later, you stop focusing on yourself so much. Because one of the things with a victim mentality is that you're so self-absorbed in your own hurt that you're ignorant to other people's hurts. So please start small, little goals. And as you progress, I definitely recommend making a vision board. There is so much science, religious, spiritualism, whatever articles on vision boards. They actually make your dreams come true. I don't know if you can see my vision board in the back. She's like, let me grab it real quick. This is my monthly vision board. I don't know if you can see it really well, but basically almost every single one of these goals I have achieved, right? And I'm not saying this to brag and be like, oh yeah, I'm the coolest person on this planet, but I say this is because this has helped me break out of my victim mindset, because I have achieved every single one of these goals. I found peace in myself. I found love. I've achieved my financial, mental, and spiritual goals. It's been such a blessing. All right, next, leading into this point that I was talking about before, is give to others, right? So once you start pouring into yourself by achieving these small little goals, and you start feeding yourself more dopamine, and you just feel overall more confident with yourself, and you're going to see this over a progression of weeks, days, months even. Now it's time for you to give into others. You poured so much into yourself that you're overflowing. And when you give to others, it serves as also a way to distract yourself. Now, it isn't the sole purpose, right? Giving to others shouldn't be our sole purpose to distract ourselves. Distracting ourselves isn't always the best solution, but it is a great tool to get you out of the victim mindset. And overall, I believe that people should be more giving of their time, energy, money, just overall love, compassion, because this world lacks so much of it. If we had basic human empathy and love, this world would be a much better place. So give unto others, right? You're taking the selfish lens that you once had about yourself, and now you're giving to others. So this includes service, volunteer work, whether it be even something as small as like a little beach cleanup, or handing flowers to strangers, random acts of kindness, right? The world could use more kindness, and you can complain about how there's no kindness, or you can be the kindness, right? You could complain about how terrible everyone treats you. You could complain about how everyone is so mean and they make you feel so bad all the time. Or you could be the person who gives goodness to others. You could be the person who is kind to others. You could be the person who loves others, because the energy that you emanate, the energy that you give out, you get back in. So with victim mentalities, people who victimize themselves tend to receive more bad in their life, right? Because all they do is think about bad. All they do is attract bad. Right? But if you want to break out of a victim mentality, attract good. How do you attract good? You be the good. There are people dying out there. There are people starving. There are people with no homes, no access to fresh food or water, and you're here crying, complaining. You have a phone if you're watching this, and you're crying and complaining about your miserable life. There are people in go try talking about the people in North Korea. What are they gonna do? They don't even have access to the internet. They don't have access to the internet. So why are you pitying and crying over yourself so much when there's a world out there that needs you? When there's a world out there that could use an ounce of kindness, an ounce of forgiveness. So be the change. Be the person who steps up. Be the person who helps the homeless person on the side of the street. Be the person who gives the flowers to the stranger. Be the person who compliments someone who looks like they're not feeling their best. Be the person who randomly, just out of the blue, sends notes to each other of love, compassion, encouragement. Be the change. If you want to see change, be the change, right? Number 3, kind of easing into this, is making a gratitude list, right? So if you're giving to others and you're giving into yourself, another way to give more into yourself is being grateful for what you have. Because when you're victimizing yourself, you focus on what you don't have. I wish I had this car. I can't believe Sally has that car. I'm sorry, Sally, if you're out there. I can't believe Sally has this car. She has the dream life. Oh, I want this. I want that. If only I had that necklace, someone would view me as pretty. If only I had a boyfriend, I would be viewed as worthy. When did we start normalizing this mindset? When did we start normalizing a mindset of envy? When did we start normalizing a mindset that views success and having what others have? I just want what she has. No, you don't. You want what you want. You want to be happy and successful. You want to be financially free, mentally free, physically free. No car, no amount of money, no amount of praise, compliments is ever going to give you the satisfaction that you need until you are satisfied yourself. In order to be satisfied yourself, you have to be grateful for what you have. If you want more in your life, you have to be grateful for what you have now. If you want more blessings, you have to be grateful for the blessings you have now. Because if you are ungrateful, I don't know if you believe in God or the universe, they're not going to give you more than what you have already, because you aren't even grateful for what you have already. So be grateful. Wake up in the morning. I'm grateful for the sky. It is blue. It is beautiful. Something as simple as that. Be grateful. One thing I love doing is starting off my day and going to prayer. And this is another very powerful tool I recommend you using, is genuinely praying. Because when you pray, you humble yourselves. You go on your knees and you pray. You humble yourself. You let down your ego. You let down your pride. So when you go in prayer, you start praying about things. You ask God. You thank Him. One of the main things you do in prayer is give thanks. You give thanks for what you have. And you give thanks for the good parts of you. Lord, thank you. Thank you for the world. Thank you for this wonderful house that I have. Thank you for food on the table. Lord, thank you for a kind, compassionate heart that you gave me. Lord, thank you for my speech. Thank you for my ability to walk. Lord, thank you for the dog that I have. There are so many things you have to be grateful for. And if you want to attract more in your life and you want to break a victim mentality, you have to be thankful for what you have already. Number 4, and this is kind of controversial, is forgiving yourself and forgiving others. I think a lot of a victim mentality starts because someone wronged us. I remember when I was going through a really tough time, and I don't know, I'm not gonna trauma dump on you guys, but basically I had a really, really hard time forgiving this one person in my life. They hurt me so deeply and so bad that it took me, I'm not gonna say a specific amount of time, but it took me a while to really get back up on my feet. And it took me a while to start believing in myself again, right? And I could spend the rest of my life hating that person. But what is hating someone ever gonna do for you? Genuinely, like, take a step back. Like I talked about earlier, take a step back. Hating someone is never gonna do any good for you, because no matter how much you hate them, that will never change their behavior. It won't change them. In fact, it only hurts you more, and I'm sure you've heard this millions and millions of times before, but it hurts them more. It hurts you more. Correct me. It hurts you more when you hold on to grievances that were never meant to be yours. You're holding on to this negative energy. Why are you holding on to this negative energy? Why are you holding on to lies, deceit, evil, when it was not made for you? You weren't made to carry someone else's burden, someone else's hurt that they tried inflicting on you. Because at the end of the day, no one can truly hurt you and take away your value. You allow that to happen. And this is something I myself struggled with so much growing up, because what do you mean this person can't hurt me? They did hurt me. Do you not see that? But I'm talking about allowing that hurt to affect you, allowing that hurt to take control of your life. Why would you allow someone to take away your worth, your value? That comes from you. You don't let anyone take that away from you. You don't let anyone take away your worth. You don't let anyone change your perspective about yourself into such a negative victim mentality. You don't let someone do that. So don't let yourself be hurt. And I know out of context, that is not the wisest thing to say. Hurt comes, right? People will try to hurt you, and it's okay. You don't have to build this immense wall to protect yourself from others, because hurt will come. It's what you do with that and how you respond with that. If you victimize yourself and you live in that hurt, you're never going to grow past it. If you have an optimistic mindset, though, and a proactive approach, and a mindset that wants growth, you're going to take that hurt for good. Take that hurt for good. Because no one can detract from your value. Only you can. You're in control. So one thing I recommend, if you're able to, get closure from those hurts. Like, if you can go to the person and be like, hey, I forgive you, then do it. Now, obviously, if this is in very extreme cases, if you know, abusive relationships, trauma, and just overall, if you're not ready for that, and for a good intuitive purpose, don't confront the person, but in your heart, forgive them. The hardest thing you can do, but the most freeing thing you can do, is forgive someone. Because when you forgive someone for the hurt that they tried causing you, you let go of this selfish mindset of, oh, they hurt me. Me. You let that go. So what does forgiveness look like, and how do we go about that, right? And that's something that's so hard, because I think it's pretty easy to say, hey, I forgive you, but then constantly brood and think about the situation. To constantly think how they hurt me, and constantly tell others like, oh yeah, this person hurt me so bad. And there's a difference between telling the truth and genuinely just mulling over it, right? And there's a very fine line between that, and that's up to your intuition to determine that line. But one of the best ways to forgive and let go starts verbally. If it takes you writing a letter and saying it out loud every day, I forgive this person, every day, then let it be. Start verbally. And after you verbally forgive them, and this is a more spiritual side, your heart and your soul know the rest. And this takes time. If I'm going to be completely honest, forgiveness takes time. But it's an action, and it's a conscious choice. You can choose to let go of that person's hurt. Anytime that thought comes creeping in of, oh, this person hurt me, rebuke it immediately. That thought is not from me. That thought is not mine. I do not claim it. When you get these self-centered, victimizing, just very hurtful things brought up from your past, you rebuke it. That's not mine. And another thing I really recommend is therapy and journaling. Because there are some hurts that quite honestly take a lot more time and forgiveness than others. There are some traumas, there are some terrible things that people have had to go through. And in order to gain closure from it, sometimes it genuinely does take professional advice. Someone who can be there to listen to you, to hear your pain because it's valid. Someone who can be there. And this even takes like going to a friend, right? Talk to them about it. Talk to them why it hurt. And let go. I wish I had a step-by-step method to tell you how to forgive on a spiritual level, but there really isn't. It just takes genuinely verbally saying it, praying about it, meditating over it, and letting go. There's going to be that day, and that day is soon, because when you stop victimizing yourself, it all becomes easier when you let go. So let go of whoever hurt you. Let go of a victim mentality. Let go of victimizing yourself, because you were never made to live in a shell of yourself. You were never made to be a shell of who you once were. You were never made to live in a cage that you created for yourself. And last quick brief point I want to talk about is taking ownership of your decisions. When we victimize ourselves, we tend to always put the blame on someone else. Someone else did this to me. Something else did this to me. It's not my fault. It happened to me. Honey, you also have control over your life. Do you know that this is your life? What pronoun did I use? Your. Exactly. So why are you letting someone else run it for you if it's your life? Does that make sense? Did I ever say, oh yeah, it's Susie's life? Or it's her life? No. You can't control anyone else's life. And if you are, you're sick. Get out of my face. The only person who has control over your life is you. So take ownership of your decisions. If you did something wrong, face it. Yeah, admit it. I did that wrong. What can you learn from it? I tried hurting that person. Seek forgiveness and change yourself. Take ownership of your decisions. Your past doesn't define you. And this is a very, very hard thing to understand because there are some people out here who genuinely hurt someone else so badly. And I have a lot of things I'd love to say to you, but quite honestly, your past does not define you if you choose to change now. If you choose to change now, get closure from your past. Forgive others, forgive yourself, and take responsibility for what you did. Justice must be served equally. Justice must be served to you, right? Take accountability. If you messed up, that's okay. We are human. You know, I remember beginning of my first semester, and I look back and I laugh right now, right? And it's just a fun little anecdote. I look back and I had this interview with a professor. I was gonna look at his lab. I was super excited because not too many freshmen get research experiences, and I was like, oh my goodness, I get to research. I was irresponsible, didn't check my alarms, slept through the entire interview. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. I mean, I got an angry email from the professor, righteously so. And I was so scared. I was like, oh, he's gonna talk to the entire department. It's over for me. I messed up my entire research experience freshman year. It's over for me, right? But it is in that I found more opportunities, and part of the reason why I found more opportunities and more doors were open for me is because I took accountability. I emailed the professor back. I didn't expect an email back, righteously so. I explained the whole situation and I took responsibility. It's so easy to make up a lie and be like, oh yeah, my cat died. It's so easy. Lies and deception is so normalized in this society. Cheating, deceiving, lying, worming your way out of things. Instead of telling the truth, be an honest person. We've normalized not being honest. And that's one of the worst parts of a victim mentality, is that we aren't even true to ourselves. We can't be true to others. So if you genuinely want to stop victimizing yourself, you also have to take ownership of your actions. Take ownership. Lead. And yeah, quite honestly, that's all I have for today. I just pray a blessing over you, that this message genuinely changes your life, that you've learned something from it, and that stop victimizing yourself. And let me say this in a more positive way. You are not a victim. You are someone who's in control of your own life. You have control. And if you want to grow, in which you will grow. And if you want to better your life, in which you will better your life, take accountability. Be there for yourself. Be grateful for what you have. Look at life positively. Be your own hero. It sounds so cliche, but be there for you. You got this.